This is Eric Bertram with Apex CCTV. Today I'm going to be going over some basics on dynamic DNS service, including what it is, how to set it up, and how it is commonly used with surveillance installations. DNS stands for Domain Name System and is used to resolve a specific name into an IP address, similar to the way you might use the Yellow Pages to find a phone number and address for a specific business. This is how you're able to type in www.google.com and pull up Google's homepage on your computer. As an example, if I open a command prompt and ping geodemo.apexcctv.com, which is our GeoVision demo DVR, that name will resolve into the IP address 192.168.1.20. And I can actually open up our GeoVision demo either by the IP address, like this, which is what most of my clients wind up doing for their surveillance installations, or because I do have a friendly name configured, I can open it up this way by typing in geodemo.apexcctv.com, and of course I get the exact same page on the same server, and I can log in either way and view my cameras. I can switch them, I can move around, I can do whatever I want to, anything that this particular DVR would allow me to do under normal circumstances. Let's say that my client's IP address is 74.7.157.161. I believe that's my current IP address. And I can find out by going to whatismyip.com from just about any computer, and it'll tell me what my public IP address is on this machine. But regardless, I set up all their cameras, I set up their digital video recorder, deal with any port forwarding, networking that needs to be configured, and they're able to go and open up a web browser from home or anywhere else and view their cameras by typing in this IP address, 74.7.157.161, into their browser's address bar. So I've got them all set up, they're happy, everything works perfectly for a while, but for whatever reason their internet service provider changes their IP address, so now when they type in 74.7.157.161 into a browser's address bar, they get a page not found error because the address is no longer valid. So this is where dynamic DNS comes into play. Dynamic DNS services will host a friendly name for their digital video recorder or cameras, so that when they use that friendly name in their address bar, they can get to their cameras just like they might with www.google.com. The benefit here is that when their IP address changes, the dynamic DNS service tracks the change very quickly, and apexdemo.dyndns.org will always resolve to the same address. Now, there are a lot of dynamic DNS services available. Lots of them offer a basic free service, and I've been using dyndns.org for about 10 years now without any problem, so I'll use them as an example. So here I'm at dyndns.com. Once again, this is a service I've been using for quite a long time. I recommend them highly, and they do of course provide a free dynamic DNS service. I can just scroll down the page under services, click on free dynamic DNS, and start this process. And there is a quick overview here. I'm not going to go over it for the purpose of saving time. We're going to go on up here and pick dyndns.org, which is their standard domain name. So that means that whatever I put here is going to become my domain name that's going to be dynamic. So I'm going to put Apex Demo, just as a quick kind of test, .dyndns.org. So when I type this into a browser, this is going to come up with our DVR. So I'm going to go ahead and host it with an IP address, which is the standard way of going about it. And it's already detected my IP address, so I'm going to put this in here and allow it to use that one. I don't need any mail routing, so this is just going to be a simple host. I got to create this. And so now this is essentially finished. It's very simple. So if I go to a web address again, or a command line again, and ping that address, I believe it should already be resolving, and it is. So just immediately like that, I can now use this name and browse to my DVR. So I'll skip showing you that for now because we'll see it at the end. The important thing I have to do now is to set up a dynamic DNS client. Now, some DVRs, like the GeoVision DVR, have a client built in. I believe AverMedia has a client built in. Most of our Vivatech cameras have a client built in. That does have to be configured. It's pretty straightforward to do. In order to get to dyndns.com's free client, which I highly recommend, you can click on ddns.com up here to go back to their home page, and then click on support. And right up here is a ddns updater for Windows. I use this one because it will automatically post an update, and these free accounts expire after 30 days if there's no update to the IP address. So this one will do it about every week or every 10 days or so, regardless of whether it's changed or not, and keep your free account from expiring on you. So if you have an IP address that changes a lot, doing it on the DVR is fine. I prefer to just install this piece of software on the DVR itself. If it's a Windows-based DVR or on any other computer on the network is fine, as long as they're behind the same router. So I've already downloaded this to save a little time. Let's go check. Here it is on my desktop. We'll go ahead and double-click this and run it. And this is just a pretty standard Windows installation. Of course, you want to read all this stuff when you're going through it, but I'm going to just burn through it real fast to get this going. There is a couple of important details. Of course, we want this to start with Windows so that it's always running. I usually tell it not to show a tray icon, but I'll leave that in place now so you guys can see it. Ultimately, we want this to run as a Windows service so that it runs in the background and doesn't interrupt the user at all. And that is its default configuration. So we'll click Next here and check this checkbox. And again, what this essentially does is prevent the software from running, as a Windows application like Outlook or like any other, so that at the end of the day, the user hopefully doesn't even really know that this software is on their system. It's not interrupting them. It's not a resource hog. It's not something you should be concerned about really slowing down a computer. I've used it over and over and over. I know people are concerned about that with miscellaneous applications. I can assure you this one doesn't have that problem. So we'll click Next. I'm going to use the default installation location and go ahead and let it run. Install itself, as you can see, it just finishes in a blink. And I'll go ahead and run this updater. And I'm just about finished with this. All I have to do is put in my username and password for the ddns.com website, and this is essentially finished. It is going to log in, found my current IP address, found the it sets the status of the updater, shows us that it's on, shows my username, shows the last time that we updated, and it shows any host names that I have registered for this account. So I'm going to check this one and click Apply, and now it's showing me that this is has updated and has returned good, and of course it shows the last update is today and the current time. So if I click OK, this is finished. Also, if I come over here to Advanced, there's some other things we can look at now that we're installed. Started with Windows, display the updater icon, automatically synchronize, show a system notification when updates occur, and automatically check for ddns software upgrades. There's a couple of these I usually turn off for resource reasons. This automatic update, this updater icon, again, I don't really want it down here most of the time. I don't need to use this often. It's very much a set it and forget it kind of application, but again, for this default demonstration, we'll show the basics. So let's go look at a machine that's off my network so we can actually see how this works. Again, if I go over here to a command prompt and ping apexdemo.ddns.org, it should come up with the IP address that we said earlier. Or if I go to Internet Explorer and put this into a web server or a web browser's address bar, once again we should get my DVR. Of course we do. So now I'm outside the network, and this WS2 here is one of our web servers. It's at a completely different physical location. I can log in here as a guest, and please feel free to go check this out on your own. You can go to apexdemo.ddns.org. I'll leave this configured. The frame rate's not going to be very high on your video because, again, I am doing this from off-site so that you can see it's coming back in like if I were at home or at a hotel. But regardless, this is in effect going to work at all times, no matter what my IP address becomes. It doesn't matter how many times it changes or how often it changes. This name, apexdemo.ddns.org, will now always resolve and take me to my DVR.